Welcome back to the Forge of Sagas. In today's episode, we're going to be tackling a great hero of the Scarab Guardians, my chapter master, Ramesses Ankhsur. He's been a veteran of many conflicts, including the Tyranid invasion of Imperium Nihilus that led to the devastation of Baal. So without further ado, let's get started. I selected the Silas Beastbane model because it had a lot of overlap with this piece of artwork that I've always loved of Sanguinius. We have the leopard pelt that Sanguinius is often shown with, which we can replicate using the fur pattern on the cloak that Silas has. We can also replicate those 3 rubies that are traditionally set in Sanguinius' armor, using the 3 medallions that we see on Silas's belt. And of course, for Commander Dante, we need an Axe Mortalis, and Silas's big hammer axe is exactly what the doctor ordered. The only thing we're really going to have to clean up is this Beastman helmet. It doesn't really fit into 40k as well, but I've got an idea for that. So let's get started. To start, after you remove all the components from the sprue and get the mold lines cleaned up, is to get rid of this Beastman head. It's great, but it doesn't fit the setting, so it's got to go. I used a combination of my clippers and my knife just to make sure I did as little damage to Silas's cloak because I really wanted to maintain that nice flowy shape. The other thing I focused on was giving myself a nice flat contact point at the hand in order to attach the head I was going to use to replace this Beastman head. I went with the head of a Tyranid hive tyrant because the Scarab Guardians are a Blood Angel successor, and Kemetera, their homeworld, was also invaded by Hive Fleet Leviathan and its splinter fleets. I used a combination of my knife and clippers to cut away the back of the hive tyrant head where it's rounded and would normally connect to the hive tyrant body, and flatten that out until it sat flush with the area we had cut away at Silas's hand. Just keep dry fitting and making small adjustments until you're happy with the fit. Next, we're going to add some appropriate Space Marine shoulder pads rather than the Age of Sigmar ones. To do this, we're going to have to shave away at the underplates that would have supported those pads until we have a good fit. For my pads, I chose one from the Custodian Guard kit to give him a nice, bulky left shoulder which would bear the chapter insignia, and a Sanguinary Guard shoulder pad for the right to really reinforce their Blood Angel's heritage. I made these trims really slowly with my knife and did a lot of dry fitting to ensure that I got the best fit possible. Add on our 3D printed chapter insignia for the scarab there, and he's starting to look nice. I took my 1/8 inch drill bit and drilled a magnet into his upper arm because I wanted to be able to play Ramesses as several different characters depending on what rules I'm using. Let's say if I'm using him as Azrael, the chapter master of the Dark Angels, he needs a sword instead of his axe. This flexibility allows me to remain WYSIWYG with the rules I'm using, but to keep the model consistent. I only have one chapter master for the Scarab Guardians, and it's Ramesses. Next, we're going to assemble the jump pack. I chose one of the Sanguinary Guard packs because it already had a nice easy nub where it would normally connect to the Sanguinary Guard body, which we can drill out to put a magnet in. Magnetization is going to be important because this is going to let us switch between the jump pack and a regular power pack for WYSIWYG purposes. I decided to add these Stormcast Wings from the Prosecutor kit to my jump pack to give it that very ornate feel and capture the image of Sanguinius that we saw in the earlier piece of art. All you have to do to add these to the jump pack is come in with your knife and trim the edge completely flat so you can put it against the Sanguinary Guard jump pack. You will have to cut through a little bit of the detail at the top of the wings, but it'll look just fine when we're all done. The other trim you'll have to make on the Sanguinary Guard pack is to trim away this pipe. This is going to allow us to slot our Prosecutor wing in nice and snug and give it a nice contact point for the glue to adhere to. Now it's time to attach our jump pack and regular power pack to the back of the model. Since we're using a magnet, you want to take your time and dry fit these pieces together so you know exactly where you need to shave the back of his cape flat to give yourself a space to drill into. Making sure this magnet is not only level but at the correct height is going to be very important for ensuring that your jump pack and regular power pack sit nicely on the model. Now it's time to attach our Hive Tyrant head. Putting him on his base, we can see that this bladed horn is not going to fit on the base. It's going to cause the model to lean slightly. So I cut it off with my knife and then started to carve at the place where it had been attached to make it look like it had been broken off. This little detail adds a cool narrative element to the model. You can imagine how Ramesses took his relic axe, the Comet, and smashed this Hive Tyrant's horn before severing its head and claiming it as a trophy. I then applied some green stuff to create a nice gory transition between the head and the hand. Using the tip of my file and some of my silicone brushes, I started to mimic the pattern that already existed on the Hive Tyrant's head, before changing to just create a gory, bloody mess where the neck would have been severed. This is going to give us a nice kind of bloody feel and hide any of the cuts that we had to make to remove the Beastman head. I also found that there were a couple of other gaps I needed to fill, like under the Custodes shoulder pad, because it's just a very big shoulder pad. So I mixed up some more green stuff and then took the base of my file and really jammed it up in there. I then worked it around to make sure that it would blend nicely into the existing armor. The last thing to add is a head. I chose the Lord Exorcist head from the Stormcast Eternals, but I trimmed away the meteor insignia that was inside this arch on his helmet. I then filled it in with green stuff because the idea here is that he has a large ruby set into his helmet. I drew my inspiration for this from the Staff of Ra in Raiders of the Lost Ark. Yes, I reference that movie a lot. But it's very cinematic to think how, when he's in combat, he's got the sun at his back, and suddenly a blinding ray of light shoots from the gemstone as it concentrates the power of the sun, blinding his enemies and protecting him from danger. With the head glued in place and a suitably elegant paint job, I can give you the final product. Chapter Master Ramesses of the Scarab Guardians, the Sun Lord and the bringer of black skies. He carries with him the severed head of one of the Hive Tyrants of Hive Fleet Myrmidon that was foolish enough to challenge his might. Hive Fleet Myrmidon is the Hive Fleet for Tabletop Tactics, and I wanted to take this opportunity to pay tribute to the channel that helped me get started in 40k. Lawrence and the entire crew over at Tabletop Tactics are amazing mega bosses, and so I felt that I really wanted to immortalize their influence on me by incorporating one of their color schemes into my chapter master. So, I apologize, boys, that I killed one of your Hive Tyrants, but hey, at least I didn't kill Terry, right? Finally, I want to thank all of you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give us a like and subscribe to the channel to keep up to date on all of our future projects. You can also check all of our social media out using the links in the video description. I hope you enjoyed yourself, I hope that you're inspired to go out and create your own unique chapter master, and I hope to see you again the next time we ignite the Forge of Sagas.